Come all ye young fellas that follow the sea, tell me where.
Alright, well, good morning again, and back in the shop today. This is Sunday. Did not do a video on Thursday, which was the last time I was in the shop, and that's when I did most of the work that you see here. So this is actually coming along fairly well. It's a lot of work. This ship is probably one of the most difficult on the list. Just going to throw a little more light on this. Hold on. Better. So the idea here is that the sails are a big pain in the butt, and so they get painted separately from the ship. The ship is 4 pieces, and they all hold the sails in place as you put them together. So you kind of have to do all these pieces separately. And I've gotten to the point where I think the ship is far enough along that I could assemble it with the sails if I want, but the sails are not quite done. So I have all of the lettering on the sails to do, and then the masts need to be painted. And yeah, that looks a little sloppy, but once the clear coat gets on there, it'll look great. And of course the whatever you call those things at the top. I got crow's nests, maybe? Anyway, so there's some work left to do for today before this one gets finished, but I do think this will be finished today, and so that's going to be my primary task today, and then if that gets finished, we'll see where we go from there. I think I also need to do one of the cogs for that as well. In addition, I had another project, a little side project that I've been working on, and I figured I'd share that with you as well. That is, Perdita from Malifaux, and it's another project that I'm working on sort of in my copious free time, and that's the first of that starter set to get finished. So there we go. That's Perdita. I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I don't do a lot of dark flesh tones, but I figured, since I'm doing a nice Mexican girl and being of Mexican descent myself, I thought it would be nice to go dark on this one. Certainly darker than the skin tones that they were using on the sample figures. I think she turned out quite well. The other thing that I was sort of experimenting on this one was I picked up some new Joe Sonia paints. Oh, yeah, too close. There we go. Some new Joe Sonia artist colors, and this is their skin tone base. And I actually used that in conjunction with some Citadel color. In this case, Scorched Brown and that skin tone were the 2 primary colors that I used to do her flesh tones, and I think I like the results. Anyway, so there is that. I still have a few more of those minis to do at some point, probably over the next week. But today I'll be working on this ship. So I'm going to go do that, and as I have more to report, I will report it. Talk to you later. Okay, so I'm going to do some assembly here and point out a mistake that I made on the last one of these things that I built. Specifically, this sail. This sail is supposed to go in between those two dragons. I didn't do that. I put it off to one side because I tried to apply realism and logic to the way sails work and not the way this sail is set up. So this is a silly placement for that sail. But that's where it is supposed to go, because they're supposed to look like there's connection points here and a connection point up front, and that doesn't work if you set it off to the side. So it'll work the way it's supposed to, but not the way it would in real life. But why am I trying to apply logic to a fantasy ship? So anyway, that's going to be my next step here, is actually assembling these two pieces. Then once that's done, I'll be able to attach the other sails. But before I can do that, I need to put the text onto the two sails that require that, and they're currently in states of drying. So I'm going to do this assembly while those dry. Then I'm going to go do the text. I can see that there may be some silver that I missed up here. And then I'll come back and show you how things are going. Just real quick though, the purple on the sails is straight out of the magazine. So it is a base coat of village purple, a purple wash, and then a lightened mix, a layer of Warlock purple, which by the way is extremely transparent. It almost doesn't look like you're doing anything. And you end up needing to build it up. And I used an airbrush, and even then it didn't do much. And then a lightened Warlock purple to edge highlight, which you can see a bit at the kind of connection points here. The graphics on the sails started with deneb stone with a wash of griffin sepia, or sepia if you prefer, and then another layer of deneb stone to do highlighting and such. The rigging on the sails is just bolt gun metal applied very carefully with the edge of the brush. It's an interesting effect, and when I do the other sails that have the black rigging, I will end up using a pen, because that tends to be a lot easier and it looks pretty good. So anyway, I'm going to go back to work, get this stuff done, and then I'll come back in a bit. So it turns out there's actually two sails that need to go on at this point. This one up front and this one in the tip. But the nice thing is, once they're in, there's really only one seam that needs to get filled down here, and that's taken care of pretty easily with some liquid green stuff, which I'm letting dry right now, and then I'll go back in and paint that and fix that all up. In the meantime, I have also finished the text on this sail. Nope. Here, I'll show you upside down. It's easier to hold. Alright. So the text is done on that, and so that one's just about ready to go on. This sail needs its text, and I'll do that now, and then all of the sails will be ready to go on, and I can finish assembly. So I'm going to get to that, and then I'll be back. Okay, with the second sail text done, by the way it says Noctilus, which I think is the name of the keep on the top there. The sails are ready to go on, and the ship is ready to be assembled, and then I'll be able to do all of the final paint. It was interesting to note as I was looking at the photos of this ship that at least in one case they didn't actually put any text on this sail, which makes sense because really you're not going to be able to read it because it's sandwiched in so close with the other one in front of it. But I can't leave stuff like this alone. I got to do it. So anyway, I'm going to go get the rest of the assembly done after I do the last bit of paint over that liquid green stuff that I've got drying. So I'm going to go do that. I'll be back. Alright, I've gone through and now I've added the sails and done a lot of the touch-up work, put it on the base, and we're just about done here. It really, really makes a difference when you put the sails on in the proper order. Huge difference. So this ship was not the ordeal that it was the first time around. In fact, when it was all ready to go, it all just seemed to fall together this time. So now I'm going to paint the cog for this one, and then this particular part of this project is done, and then I'll move on to, I think I'm going to do the sails of the Heldenhammer, because I think I'm ready to do that. So I'll be moving on. See you in a bit. Okay, and here we have the cog. I've essentially repeated the design from this sail here onto the cog and given the sail the same color as the sails of the Bloody Reaver, so that it's easy to tell that that cog goes with that ship. And with that, kind of done. So I'm going to move on to a different project now. And I think, like I said, the sails of the Heldenhammer would seem like a good choice, because once those are done, then I can call that entire ship done. So I'm going to go run off and do that, and I'll be back in a bit. Alright, so I know I've explained this before in a previous video, but what the hell, go over it again. So the base coat on these sails is a mixture of Mechrite red and blood red, shot through an airbrush, and then a highlight airbrushing of just straight blood red. Then the instructions would tell you to paint these areas black. I actually think that's way too much work and a little counterproductive, because you're going to go back to yellow again, and trying to do that from black is a lot harder than doing it from dark red, which is essentially what I have here. Now what I did instead is I took Devlin mud and I washed it over the areas that they wanted to be black, and really I was concentrating just on the detail areas and the edges, because what I want is an outline, a dark outline, so that when this does go yellow, I still get a nice sort of shadow line between the artwork on the sails and the sails themselves, sort of providing a break between those two bits of color. And so that's what I did. The brown wash should provide a really nice shadow, and it's not going to be as hard to move up from there to the yellow as it would be if I had gone and painted that all black. Plus, going black is a little harder to control, and it's adding a lot more paint thickness, which I try to avoid when I can. So with this part done, I'm going to start putting in some, I think, the Dark Sun foundation, which is the yellow color. So I'm going to go do that now, and perhaps I will talk to you later. Alright, so the the main colors on the sails are done, and that is the Iandan Dark Sun foundation paint, as well as Deneb Stone. So those are the two main colors. So the Deneb Stone being used for the scrolls and bones, and the Dark Sun being used for everything else. Then, when that was done, I did a layer of Griffin Sepia over that, and over both colors, so that provided a nice shade. And then you can always go back in and do some highlighting with those colors again if you feel it's necessary. I did do that a bit, and I'll probably do that a bit more before I call it done. The masts I did in Tausept Ochre. I like that better than the tan color they have in the pictures. It's a little bit more like an English sailing ship mast color. So I went with that, and those are probably also going to get a Griffin Sepia wash as well. At this point, I am thinking about doing the crossbars, and I think what I'm going to do this time. Now, last time I did these, I painted them the mast color, and then I used a pen to do the rigging, and I was thinking of doing it the opposite way this time. And that would be to paint the entire thing black and then use a brush to pick out the mast color. But now that I'm looking at it closer, I may have had it right the last time, and maybe I will skip the maybe I'll skip doing it backwards and actually do it the way I did it last time, because now that I'm looking at the spacing of the rigging, I think I am probably better off doing it with the pen. So I think I'm going to do that. So I guess I don't have too much time left today to do painting, so I don't think I'm going to have any more video today. But you know, I've done plenty. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 or 8 different clips here, and I've been working through this stuff. So next time I shoot, these sails will probably be done. But that's going to probably have to wait until the next video, so I will talk to you later.
Come all ye young fellas that follow the sea, till me way, blow the man down, and pray pay attention and listen to me. Give me some time to blow the man down. I'm a deep water sailor.